Hello everyone, welcome to a walkthrough video about Rocketlane. Let's get started right away. So the page that you see here is the projects page. Here you will be able to see the list of all the projects that you and your team members are working on. To the right, you might see a lot of different fields which we call as project fields. These project fields accurately define the status of your projects, the team members working on the projects, the CSAT surveys that you received on the projects, if any, your project fee, the hours consumed on the project, your project's due date, and so on and so forth. You name the detail and it can be built as a project field. We already give you pre-built project fields, which are the default fields that you see here, like the phases, the status, the last 5 project updates, the current phase, progress, and so on. But we understand that your business will have unique needs and you need to build your own custom project fields. So we also provide you with options to do that. And to move on, these fields are categorized and placed as columns. You can edit the view here by clicking on the edit columns option and checking the box and unchecking the boxes of the columns that you would like to see. Here, phases, status, current phase, progress, all of these are project fields that are listed as columns. You can uncheck a few boxes if you don't wish to see those fields and rearrange and arrange these project fields for you to view them to your own comfort. So this particular action that you're doing is only visible to you, and all the project fields that you arrange here will align the way you wish to see it. So if I like the status field to be on top, followed by the phases and then the progress field, you can customize it and do it this way. It's just a drag and drop option. Below, you can reset these actions to the default one, which will give you the alignment that was there previous to your customization. So this is how you edit columns and make them look comfortable to your eyes and easy for you to understand. You can also search and obtain a project if you're looking for anything in particular. You can also group these projects by CSM, adoption rate, your customers, and so on. We also have this filter option in each of the project pages. Using the filter option, you can filter out and get to the project that you are looking for. For example, let me use the filter to filter all the projects with project name as Acme. If I do that, all the projects with the name Acme contained in their project name will pop up. You can have this view saved for yourself or for all your team members. You can access these saved views by clicking on this hamburger icon. Here you can see all the views shared by you and your team members, and also the private views that you you saved for yourself, like the one that we just saved. You can also choose to look at all the projects that you and your team members are part of, or only the projects that you are part of. Next, let's dive deep into how a project looks like. Let's select a sample project. Great. The view that you see here is the project plan view. We also call it the swim lane view. A project is made up of multiple phases. The solution and planning, implementation and setup, onboarding and testing are all phases inside this project. And these phases contain multiple tasks that you and your team members need to complete to mark a phase as completed. If you take solution and planning, for example, all the tasks in this phase is completed now. So you can mark the phase as completed. Whereas the implementation and setup phase is set to be completed on the 6th of September, and there are a few tasks that are yet to be finished. So this phase is in progress. Like this, we have multiple status updates that you can do within your projects to track the progress of your project. Now let's take initial go live task as an example. Here, Kaushik is the customer success manager assigned for this task who needs to complete this task. And from customer side, you can make a customer champion responsible for this task. For example, let's say Kaushik is taking up the go live and initiating it, and there is someone from the customer side who needs to overlook it. You can select someone from the customer end as a responsible person for this particular task. Here, there will be accountability from both ends, and you can see everything works well if there is accountability taken up. By clicking on this More Actions option, you can convert a task to a milestone task. And in Rocketlane, milestone tasks are major tasks after the completion of which a CSAT will be triggered and sent to customers. And they can rate your team's performance on those tasks. And you can mark a task as at risk. For example, if you see that the due date is already overdue and the task needs to be marked as at risk and followed up at the earliest, you can use this option. And you can also mark a task as private. In Rocketlane, wherever you see this yellow shade, it means that that task or a conversation in chat is private and will not be visible to your customers. You can also duplicate a task and add details to it or delete a task. Inside task, you have many things that you can do. Here, Kaushik is the assignee. The due date of the task is, let's say we can change it to tomorrow. And the status of the task is to do. Let's move to in progress. You can also add descriptions to tasks and make dependent tasks from here. For example, if you add a new subtask here, that will become a task that's dependent on this parent task, which is initial go live. Here, I've added account setup as a dependency task. So if initial go live needs to complete, the account setup task needs to be done. In here, you can see that there is a conversation box where you and your customers can collaborate and chat about the progress of a task. This is a private channel where you and your customers can converse and record important information. At a later date, if you want to come back and see why you made a certain decision, this is a great place to start. Remember, we changed the due date for the initial go live task to tomorrow. So the color of the date has changed to yellow. If you take a closer look, the red color coded dates are due dates that have been surpassed and the task not getting completed. Here, the date is yellow in color because it's approaching and you need to complete this task before the due date. If a task is marked as completed, this completed icon appears and the task will be marked as done. Next, let's move on to the timeline view. Here, you get a beautiful representation of your entire project and the timelines assigned to the project. Here, the lean bars that you see are the phases configured inside the project, and the thick bars you see are the tasks inside the phases. Here, there is a line connecting the project plan approval task to the solution approval task. This means that the solution approval task is dependent on the completion of the project plan approval task for it to get completed. So this will be the dependent task and this will be the parent task. If you drag and drop the parent task to a different timeline, the subtask also moves because it's dependent on the parent task, and only after the completion of this task can this task start and complete. Now, if you wish to shift the dates of the entire project, let's say because your customer has an emergency and needs to move the dates of the project, you can make use of the shift dates feature. So there are two options here. One is you can shift the entire project. If it has not been started, you can shift the entire project by a few days to a few weeks or months. But let's say you've completed 30% of the project already and the 70% of the project that's remaining needs to be postponed. You can use this option. You can select the task from which the project is pending or needs to be moved, and then select the number of days it needs to be moved after. You can also move a project earlier by a few days or weeks, depending on your preferences and your customer's preferences. So once you do this change, you can add a baseline to mark this change. Let's configure a baseline where we move the solution approval task by 3 days later. So all the tasks that come after solution approval task will move. Add notes if any and confirm. Now go to the baseline and select the baselines that you wish to view. We allow up to 3 baselines that can be viewed. So if you see here, the shadowed grayed lean bars are the baselines. And since we moved the solution approval, you can see the baselines that are moved here also. So initially it was here and then we moved it here. So that's how the timeline view works. Here you can view all the tasks or only the completed or the incomplete tasks. You can also view the timeline by month or by day. Perfect. Next, let's move on to the board view. We call this the Kanban board view. Here you can see that all of these tasks are grouped according to the status. So under to do you have these number of tasks. Under in progress you have 4 tasks. And you have 12 tasks that are completed. You have 0 tasks that are blocked and so on. A great example here would be, let's say you have everyday stand-ups with your team members and you wish to see the number of tasks that are completed and the number of tasks that are in progress, and you wish to discuss about those tasks. You can also group these rows based on the assignee. So let's say this is getting grouped according to assignees, and these are all tasks that are assigned to Kaushik. You can just in the stand-up meeting pull up these tasks and discuss about the tasks to the assigned team members. So this is a great way for you to categorize the tasks based on their statuses and go over these tasks and make sure that you push your team to get all the deliverables lined up and shipped out. So you can also see all of these tasks and arrange the columns based on priority. So instead of statuses, if you wish to see the tasks based on the priority, you can do that. And you can also see it based on the due dates. So for example, you're running a project for a month and you wish to see all the tasks that are due today or tomorrow. You can have that view set up and group these tasks as per the column of the due date. The next view is the list view. If you're so used to seeing all of these tasks in a consolidated manner or how it will look like in a spreadsheet, you can go for the list view option where you can see all of those tasks summarized and grouped and mapped to the assignees and the phases and the priority and due date and so on. Here, you can have a consolidated vision into all of the tasks that are pending or in progress or completed and so on. You can also select a task and change its status or set its start date or due date. You can do that in a bulk manner. So you can select more than one task and mark all of those tasks as completed or deployed or whatever status that you use for your teams. And you can also filter out the tasks as per your conditions and view that under shared views or private view. So if you wish to see only the milestone tasks, that also can be added as a view and looked upon by you. So there are also options to only view the tasks that are assigned to you and so on. So by this time, if you're wondering where this project plan comes from and where we import all of these phases and tasks, it's a great time to introduce you to the robust template module that Rocketlane has. In here, you can pre-build the phases and tasks that will go inside a project and categorize these templates based on your use cases. You can have a template for a project that's of enterprise in nature, a project that's mid-market in nature, and so on with respect to your use cases. So you can build multiple templates containing all the phases and tasks that need to go inside a project and use those templates during the time of project creation with just a click of a button. But if you're wondering if there are, let's say, multiple projects with only a little bit of variations. For example, let's say your template contains integrations as a phase, and there is a project that does not want integrations. You can set up dynamic conditions in those cases where you can say, hey, this integration phase should only be used on projects where the project field is integrations and customers are opting for certain integrations. That way, you can use one template dynamically for multiple projects. So that saves you a lot of time and lets you reuse templates at your own pace. Now, before we move on to the project settings page, let's quickly recap everything we've seen so far. So, we started off with the projects page where you have the list of all the projects that you and your team members are working on, and also the status of these projects listed with the help of the project fields. You can edit these project fields and make them look comfortable to your eyes. This particular edit that you make is private, only you can see it. You can rearrange these fields in a way you think will make more sense to you, and so on. You can also filter a particular use a filter to get to granular details about the projects that you're working on and save these filters and view them later. Inside particular projects, we have the project plan view where you can see all the phases and tasks that makes the project, their status, if they are in progress or if they're completed, and so on. And inside the tasks, you can see all of the assignees, the due date of the task, the status of the task at the moment, all the subtasks and dependency tasks, if any, and also the area where you collaborate with you and your customers and your team members, and which you can look up anytime later as well. We also had a look at all the views that's available in Rocketlane, the timeline view, which is a Gantt chart that you can access and change dates just by dragging and dropping them. Next is the Kanban board where you can view all of the tasks inside the phases as per the status or due date or priority. Next comes the list view where you can bulk select multiple tasks and perform actions on those tasks and save the view and view it later for yourself or your team members, and so on. So that's everything that we saw so far. Next, let's move on to some important project settings. So this is a general information about the project. You can upload the company logo of your customer whom you're working with, give their company name here, the company website here, name your project, select the status of the project in whichever status it is, and you can also view the template that's used in the project, the start and due date of the project. So if you're using a template, once you set up a start date, the due date will be calculated as per the timelines that were part of the template. Next is project visibility. You can make a project visible to everyone in the team or to only the invited team members. Next, under team members, you can invite your team members to be part of your project. Rocketlane also allows you to add partners to your project. So here partners can be companies that you collaborate closely with to get your project deliverables shipped out. You can have them added to the project. They can be your strategic partners who work one with your team to get your project to completion. We also have other visibility levels for partners where partners can only see the tasks assigned to them, and where partners can see the external tasks that customers can see. So that's about adding partners to your project. Let's go back to the projects. Here, there is an option for you to view all the placeholders in the project. So in Rocketlane, what we call as a placeholder is, let's say, when you're creating a project, you are not aware of the bandwidth of your team members who will be taking up the responsibilities in the project. But you know that customer success person, product manager, and an implementation person needs to be part of the project. So you can add all of these roles as placeholders during the time of project creation, and later add the members who will be actually working on the project from their respective teams the roles are part of. For example, if you added a customer success role as a placeholder, you can later add the customer success person who will be replacing the placeholder with themselves. So here, Kristen will be the customer success manager who will be working on the project, who will be replacing the placeholder and fitting inside the task. You can do the same for every other placeholder role that you have added to the project and replace it with the actual person who will be working on the project. Next, if you're wondering if you can export these details and present it to your team, or look up the data for making informed decisions, you can do so. You can export it as a PDF. You can also choose what are all the tasks that you're going to export, if it's going to be all tasks, or the tasks that your customers are responsible for, or the tasks that your team members are responsible for, or your partners are responsible for. You can use the same thing for viewing also. So if you want to see all the tasks that everybody's working on, you can select this view. If you want to see all the tasks that your customer is responsible for, you can choose your customer name. If it's your team member's name, you can choose, your name. And you can also choose your partner's name to see what are all the tasks that they are responsible for. Inside Rocketlane, you can use the present icon to present your project plan and progress to your managers. Easy, isn't it? So moving on, I know we touch based on chats inside tasks where you can converse with your customers, exchange important information, and so on. But Rocketlane also enables you to have global chat conversations regarding details about the entire project. For example, you can create a new conversation, give it a name and description, mark it as private if you want it to be only within your team members. If not, you can just leave it as such and create a conversation. Here, you can use one ad to mention the team members or invite them to the conversation. Mention two ads if you wish to reference a task inside the project that you're talking about. Mention three ads if you wish to reference a document that's part of the project. So you can use these options to let someone know that you are talking about a task inside the project which can be solution brainstorming, and you are referencing to a document which you completed a couple of days back. So you can send such easy messages inside conversations and let people and customers know your ideas or thoughts, or any brainstorming that you wish to happen inside the project. You also have options to send replies to conversations in messages, add a reaction, or edit or delete a message. You can also use Rocketlane School Private Eye feature, where you can just click on the eye and make a message private, which will be visible only to your team members and not to your customers. Using the Smart Fill feature, you can easily pull up the project name or project ID or whatever project field that you wish to mention in the conversation. And you can also add attachments inside the conversation from your desktop, and also add emojis. Cool, isn't it? Perfect. So that's about how you can make use of chats, global chats in your project. You can also see other chats that you're part of, not part of, and other brainstorming sessions that are happening inside the project. You can also create your own documents from here by just clicking on the Add Private File icon, and you can either use a blank document and start building a document from there, or use a document templates option where we can have pre-built templates that we provide, and also you can create for your team members to use. You can just drag and drop these templates and start using them inside your project. So those are some of the easy ways for you and your customers to collaborate inside a project and share information and discuss about the documents. The next is project updates. So, I think when you are announcing your project updates or your project progress, and discussing these things in your steering committee meeting, where you're setting goals and defining objectives with the way you take your business forward and carry out projects moving forward, you will need these details about the number of projects completed, number of tasks inside the project completed, and so on and so forth. So to make this easy for you, Rocketlane has this project updates feature where you can either create a a project update email from a blank template, or use existing templates to create a project update email. For example, let's take a blank template. Here you can define everybody who needs to receive this email, add people in copy, put up a subject line, and mention the details of the project. So if this project is ahead of time, mention that, give your owners or business managers a great lead by mentioning the status. Add your collaborators if necessary, and just drag and drop these styles into your emails. And whatever details that are listed here will be pulled up by these project update emails from your actual project. For example, if your actual project has 5 tasks completed, those details will be pulled up by this project updates template before it sends out the email to your users inside the project. So you can set it up for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, or whatever timeline you think needs to go in can be set up here, and the tasks completed within those timelines will be pulled up. The same goes for milestones and approvals and so on. If you wish to see how this project update template looks like, you can go to templates, and inside project update templates, you have all the pre-built templates available. And this is also the place where you create your own custom templates. So while you're creating a custom template, you have this option to auto-publish the updates. So if you know that there is an email that's going to go for all the upcoming tasks and it needs to go bi-weekly, you can enable it to be auto-published and make it publish every 2 weeks on a Monday. So when you do this, it automates the entire process of you sending out project updates to your managers and business leaders. So this is a great way for you to save a lot of time in gathering all the details and sending out that most important email. And lastly, we'll be exploring the form responses tab. If you have forms as part of your projects where you collect information and send it out to third-party tools or use it inside Rocketlane, forms is a great feature and it can be part of your project as well. So all the responses that your customers submit inside the forms can be viewed here. To take a closer look, click on View from Detail. This will open up the form that you send out to your customers. Here's the link that you can copy and share with your customers. This form looks similar to how a Google form looks like, where your customers can just fill out the questions and submit it easily. If you wish for any of this answers in the form to be sent out to your third-party tools automatically, you can add your project fields as questions here, and whatever answers the customers registered for those project fields can seamlessly be collected and surfaced on your third-party tools. So using forms in Rocketlane is as easy and saves you a lot of time that goes into collecting this data and inputting it manually in other third-party tools. So all you need to do is add your project field as a question in your form, and the answers submitted for those project fields, like for example, the integrations you use can be a project field, and whatever answers your customers submit for that question can seamlessly be collected and surfaced in your third-party tools like NetSuite or Salesforce and be available in those softwares as well. And that's everything you need to know about projects, their views, how you can utilize the spaces section, chat section, how you can visualize your project through list view, Kanban board, or timeline view, and send out project updates to important business leaders and your managers, how you can collect forms and transfer data to other third party tools, and so on. So, all of these we covered so far. Before we wind up, let's also see how your team can track time inside your projects. So, you can track time on a task level. For example, if the initial go live task was completed and it took you some 3 hours to get it done, you can add time using the stopwatch icon. You can add the time and choose the time as billable or non-billable, and select the category under which you worked on, add notes if any, and add the time entry. This is one way to do it. You can also add timesheets from the timesheets section. Here you can choose the projects that you've been working on and add the time that you spent on each of the activities from Monday to Friday and submit the time for the entire week. So here I've chosen the product as Modert implementation. I'm choosing the phases under which I worked on, and I'm submitting the time that I spent on this phase or task in that week. So this is how I submit time for the entire week and click on submit week for approval. If you are a manager, you can go to the approval section and approve all the time entries that you have here. You can of course check if the person has utilized their time efficiently throughout the week and approve or reject the request. Here, if you see that there are team members who haven't tracked time, you can also send them a reminder from here. So they will be notified that they need to submit their timesheets, and you are looking forward to it. That's about submitting timesheets and tracking time in Rocketlane, but there is also an option for you to manage your resources in Rocketlane. And that's where you can leverage Rocketlane's resource management module. If you see here under the people section, you have all the team members who are part of your system and their bandwidth that's been occupied. So, for example, your team members work 40 hours a week and they are allocated 20 hours for that week in a particular project. Their bandwidth of 50% is already occupied. So, looking at this, you can understand how many team members are occupied to the fullest and their bandwidth has no more room for another project, and team members who are, free for a while and can take up more projects. So everything is color coded here. If you see green, it means that though team members have not been allocated any project and they have bandwidth to take up projects. If it's blue, they're halfway there, they're working on multiple projects and their capacity is getting utilized. If it's burgundy in nature, in color, their capacity is exceeded and they're overworking. So by just taking a look at it, you can understand for which roles you need to hire and for which roles there's more demand with your projects. Let's take a team member here, for example. By just clicking on the team members, you can see all the projects that they're working on, and from here you can auto allocate. You can allocate the hours that the team members should put in for that particular project. So here, 40 hours per week is the needed capacity, and we're gonna let the team member work for 2 weeks, and this is going to be a hard allocation. If you think that someone else can replace this person or they will be unavailable during this time, you can make a soft allocation. Right now, you made this allocation, and this person will be spending 40 hours per week on this project. So that's how you can allocate time for team members. You can do that for a weekly basis or on a month-on-month basis. For this is about how you allocate hours for your team members. For projects, you can click on the projects tab and click on any project. You can see the people who are working on this project already. And if you see any placeholder inside a project, just click on find team member and look for a team member who's available to take it up. Here, the team members and their hours available is listed in such a way that the team member who's most available is on top of the table. So you can select one and add them to the project. One more thing that you can do under the people section is find availability. So if you're not able to find a team member to be allocated on a project, you can check the start date and end date of projects and input the maximum work capacity for the week and find the person. So the system will automatically suggest a list of people who have availability during this time, and you can allocate work for them. Under the demand section, you have the list of roles for which the demand is high. If you see here, the implementation specialist role has the highest demand. And if you're looking to hire more people on a role, you can make use of the demand tab to make those informed decisions. And if you're curious about how these allocations can be done on a template level, you can navigate to templates, and under project templates, you can select a project template that you use often and go to allocations and turn on auto allocate. So if auto allocate is turned on, the system will look for all the placeholders and the time allocated for them inside the tasks in a project and auto allocate the time for these resources. So if it's turned off, you can manually allocate hours for these resources. And if it's turned on, the system will automatically look for the time dedicated or allocated for these resources and pull that up here. So that's as easy as it seems to make use of our resource management feature and allocate resources for your projects. Thank you so much for your time listening to this walkthrough. For any questions, you can always reach out to us at care@rocketlane.com. Thank you.